All right, so the Azanian People's Organization is picketing at Belinda Magor's residence in Boksburg. Magor's voice note on her defensive pit bulls has gone viral on social media. She was arrested on Saturday after a criminal case was opened against her. Magor is expected to appear in court in March next year after she was released on a warning for allegedly calling black people rapists, thieves, and calling for them to be killed. For more on this, we bring in our senior reporter, CHRISELDA Lewis, who is with the picketers. CHRISELDA, good morning to you. What's the latest from Boksburg?
Well, the latest, Naledi, is that there seems to have been a complaint that has been laid. We're not sure by who at this particular stage, but I would assume that it might have been from the residents in this particular area, because the police have now been brought in. You'll have a look here. There are now two police vehicles that have been brought in addition to the private security that was brought in here. You'd recall AZAPO has been saying that this is the residence of Belinda Magor, and it is stated as a place of work on the internet. That was the reason why they came to this area this morning. If you take a look towards my left-hand side, you would see that the picketers are still here. In just a moment, I'm going to see if I won't be able to speak to the South African Police Service, because also what we understand is that police will allow one person from AZAPO to enter the premises to satisfy themselves that indeed this is not where she lives. When we spoke to some of the residents that came to the gate, they said they don't know who Belinda Magor is. They've never seen her before. They'd actually not seen or heard of the video when we spoke to them, but they also indicated that they were disgusted by what they had seen. They said they don't know who Belinda Magor is. So AZAPO continues, of course, here this morning with their protest, indicating that they're not going to leave here until they're satisfied with, an explanation that indeed this is not where she lives. And you would know that AZAPO has also been calling for her arrest. An arrest. She had been arrested. In fact, this was during the course of the past couple of days, and she was released again on warning and is due to appear in court in March next year. And this would be on criminal injury. You'd have heard AZAPO saying a bit earlier on, it also wanted, or it has in fact opened a case against her of criminal injury as well as an incitement to violence. And they're hoping for an arrest of Belinda Magor anytime soon. And what they're saying is that racists cannot be tolerated, that, racism is a spit on our hospitality, is some of the comments that have been made on these placards. So they continue, of course, to picket outside. We'll see a number of police officers have been brought in here, but what we heard the last time was that, they're going to try and ensure that there is some kind of, movement. The picketers are not going to leave here if they're not satisfied with the fact that Belinda Magor does not live here. So we'll have to wait and see, Naledi, if indeed that is going to take place. If you could just stay with these visuals for just a second, and I'm going to try and bring in the police who might have the authority to speak to us at this particular stage. While you stay on these visuals for just a second, Naledi. Well, Naledi, I'm hoping that you can still hear me. While we stay on those visuals, I'm going to try and bring in the police to try and see if we're not able to speak to them at this particular point. Yeah. My colleague Tulo Manare will be on those visuals while we do that. I'm going to try and bring in the police and hear, what complaint has been made. This is, of course, a residential area, but right across the road is a school. And I know a bit earlier on, some members of that school had come through and asked us what was going on. They seemed to have been, clueless of what was taking place here until they had been briefed that, AZAPO believes that this is where Belinda Magor lives. And, they are saying that they're not going to tolerate her living anywhere in the country if those are the sentiments that she shares about black people in this country. So I think we're just waiting for a go-ahead now. I'm just waiting for the police officer. Just bear with me for a second, lady, waiting for the police just to come through. I think they're just getting a briefing. The lady who I'm going to speak to, or the police officer who I'm going to speak to, I understand was one of the arresting officers in the previous case that had been opened. She's still on the telephone at this particular stage, but I'm sure you and I would be able to engage for just a moment, Naledi, right, while we wait for her to come towards my direction.
I think and as we do that, Griselda, it might certainly be interesting to get some context, right? And for those viewers that have only just joined us and are trying to get an idea of why AZAPO is outside protesting outside the home of what is believed to be Belinda Magor. I think let's take a few steps back. Essentially, the argument in the country, starting with pit bulls and the many cases that we have seen lately of pit bulls attacking children, particularly in the country, calls that have been made for pit bulls to be banned, then enter this story of Belinda Magor.
Well, that's right, Naledi. In fact, that clip had actually gone viral, and you played it a bit earlier on the show, but, a part of it talks about, I'm passionate about this, ban them, kill them, shoot them, get rid of them, because they're the problem, not bulls, not animals. Animals are beautiful. They deserve a warm bed, food, love, attention, and everything else. So those are the sentiments that are shared by Belinda Magor in that clip, in which, she says, don't ban the pit bulls, instead kill them. She's now referring to black people because they're the problem, she says, not bulls. Clearly an animal lover. She says, not animals. Animals are beautiful. They deserve a warm bed, food, love, attention, and everything else. You would know that the debate in the country has certainly been, around the SPCA and other organizations also calling for stricter regulations for pit bull owners and not an actual ban on pit bulls. But the concern, others have also been saying, Naledi, that the problem also is that at this particular stage, due to the number of cases that we have seen of, bulls attacking children, killing children, a conversation needed to be had about how dangerous these animals are. So on two different sides of the coin, you have, those who are saying that pit bulls must be banned. Others are saying that pit bulls should not be banned. Instead, there should be stricter regulations pertaining to that. And, certainly I think at this particular point, there had been a conversation about, how all of this came into the fore. Clearly, she was someone who loves animals and engaged in that and made those racist remarks, instead calling for black people to be killed. I read a part of what some of that video clip had said, which you played earlier on in the show. This has really caused a serious uproar, and there's been, a lot of concern about the fact that, racists or those who make racist remarks are treated with kid gloves in the country, and that if there was more stringent action taken against individuals who make those kinds of remarks, then perhaps that would be a deterrent to other individuals who might do that. So that is the context within which we are here today. And I'm hoping I will be able to speak to the police in just a few moments again. Naledi, if you can still hear me, please note that I cannot hear you at this particular point, but I'm sure you'll still be able to hear me, and we'll try to speak to the police in just a moment. I think they're just trying to get us additional information about, how they're going to assist in terms of getting in, one of the picketers inside the complex, so that the picketers are satisfied that Belinda Magor does not live here. In a brief conversation that I had with the police a bit earlier on, they said to me that Belinda Magor is not here. I'll just try to get that official confirmation again for you during an interview that I'm hoping to get with the police in just a moment. It seems like they're still trying to gather some information before they speak to us. as the media. But I'm sure in just a moment, if you're able to just bear with us for just a few more moments, perhaps we'll be able to get that update from the South African Police Service. But really causing an uproar, a lot of anger, particularly on social media. And in speaking to some of the residents in this area, of course, as I indicated, they said they don't know who Belinda Magor is. When we came to this area where there's also a school that is right across the road, they had indicated, they were surprised that the video which they had seen had gone viral is of someone who lives just right across from their school. And, from the many people that we've spoken to here, they have really indicated that they're quite upset by what has taken place, and they are not going to put up with any of those racist remarks that have been made. And I think at this particular point, if at all, police will also talk to us about whether they've actually, another case has also been opened against Belinda Magor, because we also heard from AZAPO that they also opened a case in Krugersdorp, and that is with regard to criminal injury and also defeating the ends of, I beg your pardon, not defeating the ends of justice, but also of, incitement to violence. You'll have a look there at that particular area. Those are the police officers that we're hoping to have a conversation with to see if we aren't able to get any information from them in terms of what the way forward is, because I know that the picketers or the protesters are not going to go inside if they're not accompanied by police, and nothing is going to satisfy the picketers if they don't go inside this complex to satisfy themselves about the fact that, Belinda Magor does not live in here, because on the internet itself, it does indicate that she is or was operating a business from this particular area. I'm just going to see from my colleagues if I am in a position. I don't really want to disturb the police as they try to gather some information just to see if we're able to speak to the police at this particular point. Mayor, good morning. Are you in a position to speak to us at this stage? Not yet. All right. The police not in a position to speak to us at this particular time. Naledi, you could see still on the telephone there, and what they have been saying is that they're trying to gather more information about how, I guess, they're going to go inside this complex and, escort. At least not everyone is going to be allowed inside these premises, possibly just one person. I understand as well there are very few units that are inside this complex, and I guess the only thing that will get the crowd to disperse here this morning is if they're satisfied that Belinda Magor is not inside here.
Well, that day, our reporter CHRISELDA LEWIS is speaking to us from Boksburg, where AZAPO is picketing outside a complex that they believe to be where the Belinda Magor resides.